In this video I would like to show you the exhaust cutout motor controller. So I have the cutout here and a controller box. I have a already button connected to it and a motor, and I have external power supply. So I'm going to connect the power, and now with the push of the button it will open the flap, and then the next push will close the flap. Basically push to open, push to close. Connection are pretty simple. So here's the board here, and basically it's the vehicle ground and the vehicle power. You connect the motor or two motors if you have, and then you have a couple choices here as far as the controlling the opening and closing. There are two buttons, so you can use just one button on and off. You can use a switching button, the latching button. So here's the latching button. So when you push it, when you press it, it will open, and when you release it will close. You can use two buttons or the rocker switch. So you will press one to open and another one to close. So there are a couple options. And you also can connect the LED from the buttons to the controller, so you can see the status of the opening or the closing the flap. So once you make the connection and do the basic testing, now you can put the controller module into the configuration mode and make some changes. To do that, you just need to push the button 10 times quickly. The light would come on here, and now you can take your tablet or laptop and find a Wi-Fi network called Timers.shop Wi-Fi. So once you find this network, connect to it. Am I still searching using the tablet? Okay, so it found a network called Timers.shop Wi-Fi. I connect to it, then I open the browser and I go to the address 192.168.4.1, and you would click on Timers configuration. So in this menu you can choose if you're controlling with one button version 2. I will cover in a second. Either you use a latch button or two buttons. So we're going to use one button, and we're using 2 seconds to open and 2 seconds to close. So if I push the button, it takes 2 seconds to open, closing 2 seconds to open. Now if you change that time, you can change, for example, an opening time to a 1 second. So I'm going to change it to a 1 second and click save. And now if I click a button, it will open it slightly, and then you click a button, it will close. So you can configure your flap to be to open only at a specific percentage. Now I'm going to choose. Now I'm going to switch to the button version 2. So button version 2, and then I'm going to click save. The way that works is a short press opening the flap and a long press closing the flap. So what you can do here, if you set the opening of the flap shorter than completely open, for example, we have 1 second, then short press would open the flap a little bit, and then the next press would also open it, and so forth, and so forth. It will it's gonna keep opening that flap. So you can set up a shorter period, so let's say 0.5 seconds, and keep opening the flap a little bit, and the longer press would actually close it. You can use a latching button, and if we switch it to a latching button, so here's latching latched button. I'm going to change it to 2 seconds for now, and if we replace this, then pushing the button would open it, and releasing would close it. The close on initial power settings allows us to close the flap if you forgot to close it there last time. So upon the startup, if you want to close the flap initially, you can choose that option. So here's how it's gonna work. If you open the flap and you turn ignition off, I'm gonna disconnect the power, and next time you turn the vehicle on, you want the flap to be closed. You would select that option, close on initial power, and when you get initial power, it will close the flap. So that's if you forget to close it the last time. And two buttons, basically you would connect two buttons, and one button would be opening and one button would be closing. So you can set up one button to open either completely or maybe 50% at the time. So one push would open 50%, another push would open 100%, and then let's say the closing button would close 100%, will close the flap. Now you can also connect the light. So this particular button has the internal LED light, and you can and as you see here, the light lights up when flap is actually opening or closing. But you can do the reverse. You can have the light all the time, and when you push the button, then the light's gonna go off while the flap is moving. So it will be lit up all the time until you push the button. So all this in a manual, how to connect the lights and how to connect the motors, and that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.